heard anything really since he injured the knee. You know that he's had surgery, but that's it. So we have to kind of wait and see on him. In terms of Caleb Love, I mean, the thinking in my mind would be there's no way that you get that bad of luck 2 years in a row, right? Where you get a guy that is talented but just doesn't fit the system. I think just, from what we've heard, Caleb Love definitely feels like a guy that probably fits the system a little bit better. It's also probably going to help him that you're going to have a guy that from game one you're going to know in Garrison Brooks is a potential All-ACC player, potential All-American prospect, a guy that you can give the ball to inside that can score. You would think that guys like Armando Bacot, Leaky Black, would take the next step. And then there are some perimeter shooters coming in that you probably feel a little more confident about. I know they're young. I know guys like Donovan Puff Johnson and maybe, R.J. Davis, a couple of those other guys. They're still young, but you would think that just from watching them and seeing how their game is rounded, they're going to be those guys that can stand behind the three-point line and knock down the shots that you need them to, that can give you something on the perimeter, something that we didn't have this year, but maybe we kind of should have known that. We were asking Brandon Robinson to do more than he probably should have to do because his talent level just isn't there, and that's okay. There's other guys like Christian Keeling and Justin Pierce who we thought were these guys that we thought they would be the same guys that they were at the mid-major level. They just weren't. So I think that it's a different makeup on this team. But in terms of the point guard position, I just feel like you got to be just a little bit more confident because you feel like Jeremiah Francis will probably play more this year. You feel like Caleb Love is, maybe going to be a guy that is better acclimated to this offense than Cole Anthony was. Those are the types of things that I think give me a little bit more confidence that we're not going to see the same struggles from the point guard position that we saw this past year.
Yeah, if I came across as pessimistic about my concerns about the point guard position, I'm not. I like where the position is in terms of there's some depth there. I talked at length about when we got to see Jeremiah Francis on the court. We saw him in person at that Georgia Tech game. I'm a big fan of his individual game. I think he's got a good feel for the game. He's savvy. And this is a guy that wasn't in playing shape. You could look at him and tell him he's overweight. He's not ready to go out there and play 35 minutes a night. And yet, due to injuries, when he was starting to get playing time, that's what he was having to do. Now, is he going to have to develop a more consistent jump shot? Absolutely. Only 23% from the field. Carolina needs its guards to make shots. I'm not saying he's got to be Kobe White, but he's got to be able to hit those spot-up three-pointers like Joel Berry did in his junior and senior years that really helped Carolina elevate itself as a national title contender. So I like Francis. Anthony Harris is a guy that is going to be used more as a combo guard, is going to be a guy that is going to be he can play with the ball, can play without the ball. What we liked about him whenever he had the ball, he was aggressive. He got downhill, could finish at the rim. You like that element to your offense. It adds a different dimension. And with Caleb Love, I think you brought up a really big point. When Cole Anthony committed, the best known commodity on that team was probably Cole Anthony. We didn't see Garrison Brooks becoming All-ACC Garrison Brooks, a guy that scored 20 points or more in 7 straight games. We never thought that. We never expected that. Brandon Robinson, we thought would fill the role nicely, but as you said, we asked way too much for what his talent really warranted, and that was just a byproduct of some guys leaving early. Caleb Love is going to enter with the guy that in the post, you've got an All-ACC, All-America candidate in Garrison Brooks. Armando Bacot, for all his inconsistencies, averaged 9 points and grabbed 8 rebounds. So you've got almost a double-double tandem going on inside. And as you mentioned, you've got some shooters. They're young, but youth has never really affected guys' ability to shoot the ball. It's more about their ability to fit into the offense. I think Love's a more natural fit. He's going to get the ball and go, which Roy Williams loves, and so do I. He's going to be able to attack and finish at the rim. He's a modern-day guard Cole Anthony somewhat is, but his offensive game, I think, is more defined. It's more crisp than what Cole Anthony's was. He'll be more efficient scoring the ball, and that's what it boils down to. Anthony could score, but how many times did he score and it was efficient? It wasn't a lot. We need Love to score the ball at probably 16 to 20 points a game, but he needs to be in the 40 percentile, not in the low 30 percentile. So even though Carolina is an uncharted territory in terms of losing point guards for consecutive years, the spot's still in pretty good situation, and the roster is in a better spot right now at this time this year, coming off 14-19, than it was this time last year after going 29-7 and having won an ACC regular season championship, which is why, even though the 2020-21 season seems so far away, we're still pretty optimistic it's going to be a pretty good year.
Yeah, don't go back and listen to last off-season's editions of the podcast because you would think that we're probably in the same spot because we thought that team was going to be really good. I like what you said, and I think the other thing that people have to realize is that Caleb Love was coming with a different mindset because when Cole Anthony came in, he knew that he was going to have to probably be the team's leading scorer hands down. This year, in a perfect situation, I would probably I would want to see both Garrison Brooks and Armando Bacot outscore Caleb Love because I think Caleb Love has enough to his game where even if he was to struggle the way that Cole Anthony did, he could probably still average 13, 14 points a game, which is fine. If you can get it to a point where your point guard, a freshman point guard at that, doesn't have to take over, that's when you're most successful. Because here's the biggest question. When has Carolina ever had where a point guard was the focal point of their offense and they were extremely successful? There's not really that point. There's nobody, I mean, maybe you could say Marcus Page, but he also had Bryce Johnson with him. And, the talent around that team sort of got better and better as their careers went along. That's how they got to the national championship. Maybe that's the way it's going to go here, but it'll be a revolving door at point guard. But, I mean, if you look at some of the other great point guards, guys like Kendall Marshall, he had Tyler Zeller. A guy like Ty Lawson had Tyler Hansel. You need those guys that are there to help you. You can't – I just don't feel like telling our point guards, you've got to be our best offensive player is the recipe to success. This year, that's not going to be what they're going to be telling Caleb Love. So I wonder if that ends up translating a little better and Love ends up actually looking the part. Well, maybe not showing up on the stat sheet as being a better player, but looking the part of a better player than Cole Anthony was in this offense.
Yeah, you brought up a fantastic point. The point guard position in Carolina's program is the most important position on the court, like a quarterback in football. But whenever Carolina teams are great, they have great point guard play, but they normally got a great big guy to go with it. All three national titles have had that, and even teams that didn't win national championships that were still national title good had a quality big man to run with them. Caleb Love, Jeremiah Francis, whoever is running the point guard is going to have that, we know, in Garrison Brooks from day one. And you also got two other big-time freshmen coming in that should help kind of ease the load for all the guys on the court. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this edition of the podcast. Before I let you go, we're going to talk about the HeelToughBlog.com. Like Anthony said, it's been a slow couple days, a slow couple weeks in the entire sports world. Today was a very big day in the Carolina world, and we had you covered on HeelToughBlog.com. You got my breakdown and what it means for Cole Anthony's decision to go to the NBA, his latest mock drafts. I'm also in the process of writing an article more in depth, kind of what we just talked about, the state of the point guard position moving forward with Anthony's departure. You can find that out on HeelToughBlog.com. In addition to that, Carolina landed 2 more recruits on the football trail as Mac Brown continues to do a fantastic job bringing in-state talent to come play for Carolina. Also, an offensive lineman entered the transfer portal. Anthony has you completely covered on all 3 of those topics. You can find out all that content on HeelToughBlog.com. And lastly, we're going to encourage you guys to subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on every major podcasting platform, most notably Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn. You can find us there. Just search the Roy's Boys Podcast. It'll pull up. Give us a like. Review myself as the host. Review Anthony as a host. Most importantly, we encourage you guys to subscribe. That way you get every new episode on your player whenever we upload a new one. Well, with that, I want to thank Anthony for taking some time to come on and talk a little Carolina basketball. We want to thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, stay strong, and go Tar Heels.